Hi, this is Let's Talk Real Estate, and this is the Seniors Corner, and my name is Darlene Dara from Right at Home Realty, and I'm your host today. Today we're going to talk about why seniors are choosing condominiums to really downsize when they're selling often family homes and things like that, and really the effect that the shortage of two-bedroom units are having on that demographic as well. It is affecting families too, but one of the areas that they're saying it's really starting to affect, especially as we're going forward, is going to be seniors. So for downsizing seniors, often they are in the next decade, they're saying that there's going to be about 484,000 more seniors and also 207,000 more residents really that are aged around 35 to 44. But for this segment, we're really going to talk about primarily seniors. So let's take into account just short of 500,000 seniors that are going to be looking for condominiums over the next while, the next decade. Take a little drink there and see the effect that really not having large enough units for this section of the population is going to have. So why are seniors actually choosing condos? Well, it's for a variety of reasons. One, as soon as you're starting to have any mobility issues with stairs, often they will go into bungalows, but the next sort of gradual step or natural step is often condominiums. Both for mobility purposes as well as security purposes, and also just the reduction of maintenance when you have spent your life taking care of a house and outside grounds. Sometimes just having the inside of a unit is more than enough. Also, they're attracted for the amenities that they can, especially with some of the new buildings with all of the exercising and the increased amenities that are coming with the theaters and indoor pools and all that other stuff. It's also a lifestyle choice. Now that is also true for other people as well, but definitely for seniors that is having definitely it's a consideration. So why are seniors actually choosing condominiums, also where they're choosing them? Well, many times they're choosing them in their own neighborhood because they really want to stay in an area that they're familiar with. They don't necessarily want the upkeep of a house, but they're comfortable in the area. So a lot of times the articles and the information that is published is focusing in on Toronto and the GTA, but it really can hold true just as well for the 905 area, in areas that myself and my team specialize in as well, and sort of the Oakville, Burlington area, Milton, Hamilton, Mississauga, where you're seeing a real surge of condo development happening, as well as Toronto. There are a lot of condos that are particularly attractive for seniors, and especially when with the home values the way they are now, a lot of seniors are actually cashing out. It's part of their retirement, but they're also demanding a certain set of amenities and luxury as well. So it really is changing sort of the face of investment, as well as obviously investors, foreign investors as well. So really, why are they looking at the condos? They're looking at them to provide them really the same kind of housing that they had before, but just really not having the upkeep, as I mentioned, with a detached house as well. So what is the problem with the lack of supply, larger unit supply, as well as really what they're looking for? At a minimum, they're looking for often one bedroom and a den, many times two bedroom. Pretty rare to get a three bedroom, although it does happen. I actually own a three bedroom, but that's that is very rare to get a three bedroom. So really it's saying that about 38% of the condos in the pipeline have around at least two bedrooms. So that's pretty low, considering you've got, the stats are saying close to 500,000 seniors are going to, in the next decade, be demanding larger units. So it's really hard to be able to forecast how that demand is going to be really accomplished, really. So they're also at the same time, and many of the units have been getting smaller, quite honestly. They're also getting on average taller. So they're saying that really the average of 21 stories compared to 15 stories in the 1990s seems to be the average. So they're going higher. That's also quite attractive to investors, and especially foreign investors, because in many of the other countries they're used to vertical development. So they're really, a lot of times the higher stories, they don't really have, a problem with that, and it's also quite appealing, again, to sort of the senior population. And at the higher you go, generally there's more amenities as well, because you also have a higher base of units that can afford the cost of running and maintaining the amenities as well. So it's not to say that everybody uses the amenities, but definitely when you've got the height, that definitely does increase the use, where you're still dividing sort of the costs across a larger base as well. So also there's a lot of material on sort of mid-rise units. They're very popular as well, and we are seeing some of the big developers starting to develop in different pockets, including in the downtown or pockets of the core, mid-rise, and those are also appealing to some who really don't want quite as high as well. So often the amenities and the style of a building will tell you, really what the demographics are that they're trying to attract. As well. We also have, in many cases, senior-only buildings. I've done a lot of business in Oakville, in sort of the Bronte Marine Drive, where there's a whole community of buildings that are really for, seniors, no kids, that kind of thing. So that's another area that seniors start to, get attracted to. Some of those units are actually, some of the older buildings are larger. So again, keeping this podcast more related to size of units, as well as some of the general information. The resale market, quite often, because of costing, is really often more affordable if you want to get into the larger units as well. We're also seeing a lot of units being renovated, where they're coming into older units and really updating them, and some of the renovations are absolutely fantastic, so that they can actually buy something and get the square footage, but the inside, in order to get a not a bad price, is pretty dilapidated, especially if somebody's been in it for a long time, and people are willing to do those kind of renovations. So I'm not going to get into the renovation aspect too much, because again, I would go into that on a different podcast about what is required, etc. But it is actually becoming extremely popular. So what would I say as far as investment? Many people are actually buying into buildings, especially in some cases pre-construction, because it can take several years, or ones that are already resale and then they're renting them to go into them later on. That's becoming a very popular option. I work with a lot of buyers who might not actually be immediately looking at going into it, but they are planning as well for when they are actually a bit older, and they're going to really prefer that kind of housing as well. So there's a variety of ways that I work with buyers in order to secure these kind of units. So it's really interesting. What I would say, if you're looking at buying, and there are larger units, if they are in the price point that you can afford, especially with the shortage being predicted sort of going forward, definitely a good idea to consider. So get in touch at darlene-darahomes@gmail.com, or call or text me 905-484-4653, and I would be happy to help and to discuss sort of what your needs are, your timelines, budget, etc. It might not be something that you're thinking of doing immediately, or you're going to be purchasing but not necessarily living in it right away as well. So there's a lot of different options, especially with condominiums. So take care, enjoy your day, and I'll see you on the next podcast.